All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Discovering Multifamily podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Scandariato with Red Knight Properties. And today we have Greg Junge, and he actually recently co-authored a book called The Success Habits of Superachievers. He's got chapters in there from Darren Hardy, Les Brown, Brian Tracy, the Chicken Soup Soul creator, Mark Victor Hansen, and Kyle Wilson, and he's actually about to go number one in over 30 categories on Amazon as a bestseller. He's also a full-time real estate investor in Phoenix, Arizona, and he also is getting into syndications, so helping create passive income by investing passively in bigger deals. He's from Long Island, New York, so we have something in common there. And Greg, thanks for coming on the show. Let's talk about your book.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And yeah, let's just dive right in.
Sure. So what is it? What's a success habit? Let's talk about some of these.
Sure. So a success habit, at least to me, that was basically what I wrote in my chapter. Just how habits really changed my life, business-wise, personally. And a success habit is anything from, reading every day for 10 minutes to 30 minutes or whatever you really want to put on your plate that you probably know you should do. You see other people doing that are successful, but you don't do it for whatever reason. So that's kind of what I talk about in my chapter of the book. Just those habits that really helped me, and a little bit of my backstory of, like you mentioned, being in real estate and being from New York, and now I'm in Arizona. So kind of covered, a few areas there, but it was mainly about just transforming your life through creating habits and sticking with it.
Great. So can you talk about was there any main habits, maybe, I don't know if you have 10 or 5 of them we can kind of go through that, helped you achieve your success?
Yeah, so I can basically tell you one of them that knocked down a lot of those dominoes was a book that I read. It was The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, very popular book. And it took me a couple of rounds to really to get into it, because I tried it once. It lasted about a week, and then I just failed. So then I tried it again, and then I failed. So I think it was the third time where I really wrapped my head around it, and that one just knocked out so many things. Waking up early, working out, drinking a lot of water, reading, writing. I mean, there's 5 or 6 right there. And I can proudly say, from the beginning of this year, I'm down 30 pounds. So a lot of that has to do with the Miracle Morning and just getting my mindset right for, those morning activities, which I never thought I would do because I like sleeping and I don't like alarms, but it's amazing what habits can do to you.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite books as well. Can you talk a little bit about that process a little bit more? What does Hal recommend you do? So what do you do when the alarm goes off? What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, so I know everybody has their own variations on the Miracle Morning, but his routine is it's called Savers, and it's silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. And scribing is basically just writing. So I basically wake up at 6:30 instead of 8:30, what I was normally waking up at, and I was using those 2 hours, or I use those 2 hours now to basically get all those things done and just really take that time for myself before my business day starts. And it really just clears my head and really focuses me on the day or the week or a specific task. And those are things that I just do pretty much every day at this point. And it's just been it moved the needle quite a bit for me, which I'm really thankful for.
That's awesome. So was there anything else besides the morning routine? I know it's a big one, even for myself. What else have you seen, from the super achievers?
Yeah, so from the book itself, in my chapter, I do actually talk about, me and my wife, we sleep in separate bedrooms just because we were, both kind of snoring and that kind of thing. So just those small little changes that I never thought, when somebody mentioned that to me, I was like, oh, that sounds crazy. Like, why wouldn't you sleep in the same bed as your wife? Then I really thought about it, and I was like, well, it could be beneficial for both of us, and it has been. So that's one of the little areas that I talk about in the book, just those little things that I never really thought I would do that sounded crazy to me at first. And then when you really think about it and analyze it, you're like, all right, well, let's give it a try. Let's see how it works. And if it's a failure, then that's cool. That's, one less thing I have to worry about. And that turned into a success. So we both, have our own kind of sleeping areas and sleeping habits and patterns around that. And it's been great for both of us. So that's just one little thing that I never thought I would do, but I'm really glad that I did.
Awesome. So how is the co-authoring the book and the practices that you've been teaching in the book um, apply to your professional? I know you mentioned your personal life, you're down 30 pounds, which is great, pretty quickly too. And so what about the real estate? How has it impacted that business for you?
Yeah, so it's impacted me quite a bit. Up until this point, this past summer, I hit my 5-year mark as a residential realtor here in Phoenix, and I was doing real estate investments kind of on the side. So I'd probably say it was like 80% realtor and then 20% real estate investing. But when I really was writing my chapter and reading the other stories in this book, it really made me analyze things, and especially this year with 2020. Obviously, I think a lot of people are self-reflecting and realizing what's really important to them. So that's when I really flip-flopped it. I said, you know what? I really love real estate investing. I like being a realtor, don't get me wrong, but real estate investing is really where my passion is. And, reading books and listening to podcasts like yours. And I've really just felt like that's where I really wanted to be. That's where my passion lied. So over the summer, I hit my 5-year mark, and I really just decided to basically flip-flop that percentage. And I don't think I would have done that without either being in the book or reading some other success stories of other investors who have really done that and really focused on their passion and kind of let everything else kind of come to them. So that was a great realization from being a part of the book and reading other chapters as well.
Got it. So with that realization, what are you focusing on now on the investment side? I know we talked a little bit about the syndications. So what exactly does that mean, and what types of properties are you looking for, and how has your experience being a broker, and obviously you were kind of already doing the investing a little bit as part of a broker, as a lot of brokers do and should. How is it different? How is it similar?
Right. So as you mentioned, syndication. Syndication is basically, buying bigger buildings that you normally couldn't afford on your own. So, let's say there's a $5 million building and you need $1 million down payment. I don't have that sitting in the bank. So syndication is, getting friends and family and other investors together to kind of pitch in and take that deal down. So that's what syndication is, a general overview. And what we're doing here in Phoenix, we're doing the syndication in the residential assisted living niche. So if you don't know what residential assisted living is, it's basically for the older population, a lot of the baby boomers when they get older. They need help with daily activities of life, and we're just basically representing or buying the real estate. We're not necessarily working on the business of the operators, and those operators are actually going to be our tenants. So we strictly on the real estate side. We realize that's our passion. That's what we know, and we want to stick with what we know. So yeah, we're buying up the real estate and renting it back to an operator who operates a residential assisted living and helping our investors create those multiple streams of income. And then to your last question, yeah, as an agent here in Phoenix, it's definitely helped me, quite a bit with networking and honestly just understanding how the contract works, the title companies and financing. Those past 5.5 years as a realtor have really helped me, with my own real estate investments, just to understand how the whole deal works, and basically taking it from A to Z. And I'm sure in this business, relationships are everything. So the relationships I've created in the last 5-6 years have been very beneficial for not only realtor but real estate investing as well.
That's great. That's great. And so, in terms of the asset class, so you mentioned, we have a large baby boomer population. Obviously we had the, coronavirus crisis. And you're not the only one who's starting to focus more on assisted living now, because I know that some operators actually got a little burned during the, COVID in June, July time period, but had to pivot, had to invest heavily with filtration systems, and basically had to do a large capital improvement plan. So I guess why are you so bullish on assisted living moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, we like that niche for a few different reasons. I think the number is 10,000 baby boomers every day turn 65 years old. So the numbers are in our favor. That's a huge tailwind behind us. And then Phoenix is just a great market for the elder population, just because a lot of people from the Northwest, Washington, Portland, they come down here. There are snowbirds for 6 months of the year, and then a lot of people from the Midwest as well. So usually, older people when they retire, they move to warmer climates, mostly Florida, Arizona. So Phoenix is just a great market for assisted living for those reasons alone. A lot of older people are coming here anyway, even before retiring or during retirement, and they just really like Arizona for it's very affordable to live here, especially if you're coming from a market like California, or the Pacific Northwest can be very expensive as well. So that's why we really like this niche, and we really want to feed into that niche and really just kind of go down that road. And we're really happy to go down that road.
Great. If there's one piece of advice to kind of, and I know there's many people who study, like Warren Buffett and, various, billionaires and kind of their success habits. What's kind of one thing to leave our listeners with that, outside of the morning routine and a couple of other things you mentioned to kind of set them up for success, whether they're, like you said, 2020, a lot of people had to adjust somewhat with what they were doing. Looking forward to 2021 and beyond, regardless of what happens in the world, how do you kind of change their mindset and how do you put everybody in a positive mindset that everything's going to be okay, and how do you get over that?
Yeah, so I think the key word you mentioned was mindset. And that was a huge one for me, because even about 18 months ago, I didn't really wrap my head around mindset, or couldn't really understand it so well. And everybody kept talking about it. That was the buzzword. And I was listening to a podcast the other day. They mentioned, the how-to is out there, whether you want to, make money in real estate or stock market or start a business. The how-tos, there's gurus, there's Google, there's coaches. But the mindset is really what holds a lot of people back, including myself. So that would be the main thing for me, is to really dive into, or advice I would give is dive into mindset, dive into personal development. Because I can speak personally for me, that's what really moved the needle this past year and opened up a lot of doors and opportunities. Like the book we were talking about earlier. If I didn't have that mindset, or if I was a little anxious about it, or wasn't sure or confident, like, I don't know how to write a chapter, and my chapter might not be good enough to be in this book. If I had those kind of thoughts, then I wouldn't be in the book, and I probably wouldn't be on this podcast. So for me, mindset has moved the needle very, very, very much. And that would be my one piece of advice, is wrap your head around, Brian Tracy and Jim Rohn and Hal Elrod, all those people. They know what they're talking about, and they can really help you develop a positive mindset, and business, personal, relationships. I mean, all walks of life.
Excellent. How could people find the book? I mean, obviously Amazon, right? But how could people find you, learn more about you, and reach out to you?
Yeah. So the book is on Amazon. It's real easy to find. I actually have it right here. It's the Success Habits of Super Achievers. And then for myself, the easiest way is through my website. It's sevenfigurecapital.com, all spelled out. And if you want to email me, it's real simple. It's just greg@sevenfigurecapital.com.
Great. And we'll have a link to Seven Figure Capital and Greg's profiles in the description section on iTunes and in our social media posts. Greg, thank you again so much for coming on our show. Really appreciate it, and hope to have you on again soon.
Yeah. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate the opportunity. Good talking to you, man.
Excellent. Thank you.